What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Listen, man, I can't lie, bro. After that last video, hold on, let me get my screen set up, right? After that last video, man, it got me to thinking, bro. It was crazy. This video was absolutely insane to me, man. Just thinking about some of the heinous acts that people who you may see on the street and look at and think are perfectly normal, but some of the things they're doing or have done or crimes they've committed, and it was just crazy, man. You just don't know people as well as you think you know them. Anybody in this world could be predatory, you know what I mean? So it just had me looking at I already look at the world kind of funny, look at people kind of funny, you know, but this one just took it up another notch for me, man. You know, you got to be careful out here. You know, not everybody has good intentions like yourself. You know, you could be, you may want to be nice and open to everybody, man, but the reality is you just can't. You can't, man. You got to be guarded somewhat, and you got to protect yourself and your family. So just hearing some of the last words from the inmates last time, death row inmates and such, and just seeing their mug shots and seeing their expressions, it was crazy. But we back again. This is the top 10 scary last words from prison inmates. This is part 2, all right? So we're gonna get into this video, man. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, join the fam, and prepare yourself. Prepare yourself.
I tell the inmate that he can make his last statement.
Do you have any regrets?
Yes, I do. Yes. If I could take things back, I would.
Jackson apparently told detectives he murdered a defenseless, homeless man as practice. Additional charges.
He murdered a homeless man as practice. What makes you think a homeless man's life isn't as valuable as anyone else's? See, oh my gosh, bro. How would you think something that already lets you know how sick in the head a person is?
Could include murder in the first degree, as this was most likely an act of terrorism.
For most inmates on death row, their final statements are apologies or prayers before they're executed. But for the rest of the inmates who are executed, they use their last words as a way to provoke or even scare others before they take their final breath. How's it going, YouTube? I'm your host for this one, Landon Do Not Sing, because you guys absolutely do not want me to sing. I am terrible. And today we're going to be hearing about some pretty terrifying last words from prison inmates who were sentenced to death. If you guys missed part 1, make sure you guys click right over here after you watch this video. We'll also put that link in the description down below. So without further ado, here are the top 10 scary last words from prison inmates, part 2. Starting off this morbid list, and at number 10, we have a burning statement. Jose Villegas was convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend, her young son, and her mother 13 years ago, and he was sentenced to be executed. He was also convicted for making terroristic threats to kill women, burglary, and possessing inhalants. His attorney argued that the stabbings weren't
Some people say you can look at the eyes and tell. Let's go back. Right here. Look at his eyes, bro. Look at his eyes. What those eyes say to you? Like, I had a taste for blood and I'll do it again. Like, and maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm just sitting here just profiling. Hey, they do it on, what is it, CSI or whatever. They profile. So I'm learning. I'm in the beginning stages. All right. It just, they ain't warm eyes. They ain't the eyes that are inviting and saying, hey, man, I want to be your friend, or those ain't those type of eyes. I can tell you that.
Executed. He was also convicted for making terroristic threats to kill women, burglary, and possessing inhalants. His attorney argued that the stabbings weren't intentional because he was mentally ill.
All right, you lawyers. Well, I see we're going to have to address y'all too. His stabbings wasn't intentional. All right. Demonstration. Exhibit A. No, I didn't mean to do this. I didn't mean to stab you. No, I didn't mean to do that. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Keep in mind that the Supreme Court prohibits the execution of mentally impaired people, but the Supreme Court denied their appeals because they said that previous examinations of Jose Villegas showed no mental impairment. And they also argued that his lawyers had 10 years to bring up his mental impairment, but they didn't until just days before his scheduled execution. So as the medical technician inserted the lethal drug, he said, "It does kind of burn. Goodbye." He then gasped several times, his breathing started to get quieter, and within 1 minute, he stopped moving and his pulse stopped. Up next, number 9, we have an unusual statement. Richard Cobb said these last words before he was declared dead. Wow, this...
Look at the eyes again.
Richard Cobb said these last words before he was declared...
Look at the eyes again. It's in the eyes. It's in the eyes, bro.
They're dead. Wow, this is great. This is awesome. Thank you, Warden. Well, I think it's safe to say that his final statements was very odd.
This is awesome, Warden. This is awesome. Like, he shouldn't even have been on death row. We should have expedited his execution. It should have been expedited. With last words like that? Come on, man.
It seems like he actually was enjoying being executed.
Witnesses looking through the glass in a small confined room. He looked calm, looking up at the ceiling.
I mean, I expected him to have some remorse, which I didn't. He didn't have any. I didn't have any.
The witnesses in the room were left confused and unfulfilled. It's like he did this on purpose because he didn't want the victim's family to get closure. Richard Cobb actually spent a decade on death row for murdering a man who abducted and later killed during a convenience store robbery. After the drug entered his system, his head hit the pillow and his neck twisted with his mouth wide open. 15 minutes later, he was declared dead. Moving up this list, or down this list, depends on how you see it. At number 8, we have Joshua Bishop. During his final moments alive, he said, "I feel it. I don't know about you guys, but the statement gives me the chills."
I gotta stop each time on the eyes, man. I gotta stop. Are y'all noticing the pattern?
When I was reading Inmates' last words, a lot of them actually say that they feel the drug entering their body and that they can feel that death is near. That is just something so unsettling about the statements that I cannot explain. On the night on June 24th of 1994, he had spent the night drinking and smoking crack with 2 other people. He tried to steal car keys from Leverett Morrison, who was sleeping at the time, but things didn't go according to plan. Joshua Bishop beat Leverett Morrison to death and dumped his body between 2 trash cans and burned his Jeep. He was arrested within 24 hours after the murder, and he quickly confessed and immediately began to show remorse. However, after the trial, he was convicted and sentenced to die by lethal injection. His lawyers tried to appeal this decision by saying that he is a reformed man and he has turned all of a sudden somehow into a model citizen. They even submitted written statements by the victim's family saying that they didn't want to have him executed, but all of the appeals were denied. A hellish statement makes its way onto this list at number 7. Lavinia Fisher said, "If you have a message and want to get it to hell, give it to me."
Whoa. That has got to be by far one of the sickest I've ever heard. If you got a message to hell, give it to me. I'm headed that way. Wow. Bruh. I didn't expect to hear nothing like that. Bro, she's at the top of the list for me. That is crazy.
I'll carry it. Is this real life right now? Well, I guess she knew exactly where she was heading. It wasn't up. It is argued that she is the first woman serial killer in the United States, and she was arrested and sentenced to death by hanging, but she never actually killed anyone. According to the story, Lavinia and her husband ran an inn just outside of Charleston. When a single person checked in, Lavinia would use her charm to gain their trust. Once they felt at ease with her, she would give them a cup of tea that was poisoned. Once the poison entered their body, the person would go to sleep and she would steal their possessions. It was actually her husband that did the stabbings, but as it turns out, she was arrested and hanged in 1820, and it is believed that her spirit still haunts the old city jail. Up next, number 6, we have James Jackson. Before he was executed, he said, "See you all on the other side. Warden murdered me. I am rich."
I feel like that's like kind of typical. That's kind of typical. His eyes ain't really like doing it like makes it look like the others. So I feel like he's kind of like pretending to be something he's not. He went through that, which makes him, you know what I mean, dangerous. But he don't give me that look like everybody else does.
Ready to roll. Time to get this party started. James Jackson was not a model citizen, that's for sure. He was a white supremacist who stabbed a 66-year-old black man to death with a sword in New York. He was quickly charged with second-degree murder as a hate crime, and when he was arrested, he told police that he hated black men for at least the past 10 years.
But Jackson allegedly told detectives he had bigger plans. Mr. Jackson regarded the killing as practice prior to going to Times Square to kill additional black men.
He was motivated by his strong...
And I was just in Times Square not too long, about a month ago, man. Like, that's crazy. You never know, man, what somebody set out to do that don't even know you. Don't even care to know you. They just have hate towards you because of the color of your skin. That's insane. That's insane to me.
Hatred, and he fully intended on killing as many black men as he could. Well, thankfully he was caught and arrested before he was able to cause any more harm. Number 5 brings us over to George Harris, who made a disturbing last statement. He said, "Somebody needs to kill my trial attorney." After he won $500 on a craps game in Kansas, he exchanged his winnings for 2 machine guns, and then he had another man hold on to them for safekeeping. But when George Harris came back for his guns later that night, the man told them that he didn't know where they were, so he shot them dead with the revolver. There was just so many questions left unanswered, like why does one person need 2 machine guns, and who misplaced the deadly weapons? This is all very strange, but George Harris was eventually sentenced to death by lethal injection on September 13th, 2000, and apparently he wasn't happy with his lawyer's performance during the trial. Stephen Woods creeps onto this list at number 4. He was sentenced to the death penalty in Texas after a jury convicted him of capital murders of several drug dealers, even though someone else confessed to the killings. But Texas has an unusual law that allows a defendant to be put to death for a murder that someone else committed. He was given a lethal injection, but before he died, he said these final last words: "You're not about to witness an execution, you're about to witness a murder. I am strapped down for something that Marcus Rhodes did." After his final statement, he took several deep breaths before he stopped moving completely. Can you imagine being killed for a crime that you didn't directly commit? Yes, he was present during the murders, but he never actually killed anyone. Do you guys agree with the death penalty, or do you guys think that it's cruel and an unusual punishment?
I gotta know y'all's stance on that right there. I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted. I would have to know more about it and hear more about it. I'm conflicted, you know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't be opposed to him maybe spending the rest of his life in jail. You know what I'm saying? The death penalty, I don't know. I need to hear more about that story right there.
What if you never killed anyone, but you were still a part of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because I'm really curious. And now number 3, we're going to be talking about Jonathan Green's last words before death. This inmate used his last breath to maintain his innocence of the murder of a 12-year-old girl. He was arrested for abduction, sexual abuse, and strangulation of a young girl whose body was found at his home. His lawyer made several last-ditch efforts to have his death sentence reversed, but none of them were successful. successful. Before he was given the lethal injection, the warden asked him if he had any last words, but he shook his head and said no. But just a few seconds later, he changed his mind and said, "I'm an innocent man. I never killed anyone. Y'all are killing an innocent man." I know that these last words are probably said a lot, but what if they weren't lying?
That would suck if they're not lying. Now, although you may say, like he just said, a lot of people probably say that right before their execution. True, but be that as it may, how many people we're seeing these days get out of jail and sentences overturned because they were wrongly convicted? How many people? So you know there's a percentage in there that are on death row and they have the wrong person and the person never did it. That to me is just you can't even fathom that, thinking that for a crime you didn't commit.
What if they really were innocent? Now that we have better resources and more forensic analysis, it is believed that at least 4.1% of death row inmates would have been exonerated because this DNA evidence wasn't available to them.
That number might seem small, but that's a huge number. Woo! That's crazy.
At the time of their would have been exonerated, that at least 4.1% of death row inmates would have been exonerated because this DNA evidence wasn't available to them at the time of their conviction. They were given the death penalty when they were actually innocent. We have another chilling statement coming in at number 2. Christina Marieriggs was a single mother to 5-year-old Justin and 2-year-old Shelby. On the outside, it looked like they were a beautiful family, but Christina Riggs had a dark secret. She was a miserable and insecure. She complained about not having enough money to get by. That's when on November 4th of 1997, she did the unthinkable. She gave her son and daughter antidepressants in a cup in order to sedate them, and she injected her son with potassium chloride to put him to sleep. When that didn't work, she smothered them with a pillow. After she murdered her 2 children, she wrote suicide notes before she attempted to overdose on
Now y'all know how I feel about kids. Yeah, bro. I have no sympathy for someone who does that to children. Children who can't defend themselves, children who didn't ask to be here, children who didn't ask to be the burden that you place the blame on them for being. No, none of that. None of that. I have no sympathy for somebody like that.
Antidepressants. However, her suicide attempt failed and she was found guilty and sentenced to death. Before her execution, she said, "There is no way words can express how sorry I am taking the lives of my babies. Now I can be with my babies as I always intended." She was executed by lethal injection with potassium chloride, which is the—
No, you're not gonna go be with it. No. They're in heaven. They're not gonna be where you're going.
the same heart-stopping drug she attempted to use on her children. And finally, number 1, we have Benny Demps. He was sentenced to death by lethal injection for murdering another inmate before he was killed. He blamed his executioners of butchering him with a needle. He said, "They butchered me back there. I was in a lot of pain. They cut me in the groin. They cut me in the leg. I was bleeding profusely." I'm not really sure what this guy is complaining about because they were about to kill him. Why does he care about anything at this time? So he also said, "This is not an execution, it is a murder." Apparently the medical technicians cut him several—
Look at his eyes, bro. Look at him, like he got a smile on his face, like he's happy, he's satisfied with what he just did. Nah, bro. I ain't believing nothing you saying right now. You'd have to super duper convince me that you didn't do it. Yeah, Not with this type of mugshot.
Several times as they were trying to insert the IV, and because he was just an inmate, they didn't treat him with any dignity or respect. Although he was a convicted murderer, and I don't know, I guess this is up for debate. What do you guys think? Do convicts who are about to be put to sleep, you know, for a crime they committed, should they be treated right? Should they be treated the right way? I don't know. I don't think so. Well, this man is about to die anyway. Is he suffering enough? Should he be treated fairly as a human being up until death? So for his last meal, he ordered barbecue chicken and beef, french fries, salads, Spanish rice, cherry vanilla, and butter pecan ice cream. What would you guys order on your last meal? Let me know in the...
Definitely, I feel him with the butter pecan. Does that make me like a sociopath? Because I like the same thing that he like the butter pecan ice cream.
Comment section below. But there you guys have it. This is the end of this very morbid video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll...
Yeah, man, I'm still tripping over the lady. Like, she got like any messages you want me to send, where I'm going, like, that threw me off. Sheesh. That's crazy. That's crazy. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. What was the craziest moment in this video for y'all? And while you thinking about that and about to make your comment, hit the like button for your boy. All right? Till the next reaction, I'm out. Peace. Y'all stay solid. Hey.